Okay, so continuing with the training in the inventory module, we're going to focus on inventory inquiry, and we're going to go from there directly into um, some other functions. So one of the things on item inquiry is this gives you the Bible of everything you have in your inventory. This screen not only tells you everything you want to know about the initial inventory screen, as you saw in the item entry, you have all of your pertinent information. You also have your warehouse information and your user-defined fields. You have your images. You have your vendors, your pricing, but in addition to that, you also have your sales. So you can actually look at the sales of this particular item, and you can change the year. So let's say we do 2007. This happens to be an inactive item, so we can't show you that on this one, but we'll find something that does. It also shows you your purchases. It shows you units and dollars, a 2-year comparison month to month, and of course down here shows you your differential. And then you have your miscellaneous tab that gives you all the information about that was on your miscellaneous tab in your inventory file. Any questions on the item inquiry?
No.
Okay, so the next thing I want to kind of talk to you a little bit about is how to manage your inventory. The system has the capability of doing what's called an auto set of safety levels. This is a function where the system actually goes out, it looks at what your minimums are, it looks at what your multiples are, it looks at what your sales are, and then what your lead time is, and it will recommend what you need to stock, what your safety level should be. I'm going to run this for you so that you can see how it works. And if you stay on top of it on a weekly basis or a monthly basis, it's pretty accurate. So, but that feature is found in the sales order module. Under the sales order module, under reports, there's a report here called the item demand report. The item demand report will let you go out and analyze. So let's say I want to analyze last year's sales. Well, I'm going to just do this year's sales. I'm going to do from June of last year through May of this year. And you can see how the years changed. That's a 12-month period of sales. I want the system to compute averages, but I don't want to look at all 12 months for my average. I really want to look at my last 6 months. So I'm going to look at period 6 through 12. And down here, I'm going to check and say, I want to reset my reorder point, and I want to have a minimum of 3 months stock in-house. So if I change this to 3 months and do it to the screen, I can also export this to Excel, by the way, so I can manipulate it. But it'll automatically go out here and it will show me, based on orders booked, not only will it show me what I booked, but it'll show me of what I booked, this is what I actually sold, shipped. And then it'll calculate the average monthly usage. So this is going to take a second, and while it does it, we'll take a look at that. Because it's from this point that I can then take it into the auto purchase mode. I don't know how much information is in here. Can't be that much.
Quite a bit.
So here's where it shows you on your items, for instance, your average for this item is 00000. Let's go see if we can find a page that has any numbers on it. I might not have actually, yeah, I actually didn't let it finish because I stopped it, so it doesn't have any numbers.
Go to the 9 series before you close the earnings.
I don't have it because I stopped it before it finished. So let's exit out and see what it does. I'm just going to show you what the functionality is. So if I say to yes, update the quantities, it's going to give me a report on the screen that says what my minimum reorder quantity is, what my economic reorder quantity is. It depends on how you've set your system up, and right now it's not set up for with any reorder method. Usually it's a type R, which is a reorder method, as opposed to an economic reorder method. it would show me what my maximum on hand has been set to, what my current safety level is set to, and what my new reorder point would be. And the system would then automatically calculate all that. Any questions?
No?
So when I exit this, it then gives me one last chance to update. And that's when it would automatically go out into the system and recalculate that for me.
Okay.
Okay, let's hit cancel on that. All right, so any questions on doing? Yeah. Okay, so after you set your safety levels, then you want to, this will give you the ability to do what's called an auto purchase. But we're not going to actually do auto purchase yet. The next thing on our menu is how to do a transaction. In our system, you have the ability to do adjustments or inventory, any kind of inventory adjustment. That's done through your inventory, transaction processing, transfer, and adjustment entry. If you were doing production entry, for instance, if you were a manufacturer and you pre-manufactured your assortments or something, you could do a production entry, which would then put that amount on the inventory field. Okay, so when you're doing an adjustment, to create an adjustment, you would hit the plus sign. That will give it the next transaction number. One thing that you want to do is kind of make your screen a little bit bigger for adjustment purposes. Choose what type of adjustment it's going to be. Is it a receipt of goods? Is it a shipment? Is it an adjustment? Is it a production? Or is it just a warehouse transfer? We're going to do an adjustment, and we're going to tell it the warehouse we're going to adjust is the default warehouse. The date is today. And what we're going to do is we're going to pretend that we went out into the warehouse and we found an item that the system said we had 3 pieces of, when in fact we had 10 pieces. So to do that, the difference is 7. So I would put 7 pieces here as a positive. Now we went to, and we did another one, and we found that instead of 10 pieces, we had 3 pieces. So that would be a -7. And based on that, when you exit out and update, it's going to show you your plus and minus adjustments. And how it's going to hit your general ledger. The net difference is $13.51 in increased value of the inventory. Now, if you're using standard pricing in inventory, you cannot just go into inventory and change a standard price. The first thing you have to do is to run a report called valuation of inventory. That will get your current value. Then go in and make your changes, run the report again, and that'll give you your net different, your new value, and the net between them is the adjustment you have to make as a journal entry in the journal ledger. Okay?
Yeah.
Any questions on that?
No?
Okay, we'll go ahead and close that and continue the update process. He's in the inventory, that's why we can't do it. Actually, we have the inventory open right here. And that's that. So any questions on transaction processing?
What about the sales order entry? Is that just going into the order?
It's gray. No, you don't have that because you have
okay.
the sales order module.
Okay. And then production?
Is if you're manufacturing something in advance to put it on the shelf.
Okay. No, no question.
Okay. Okay, so with that being said, the next thing is the physical inventory. One thing about physical inventory, it does not freeze your inventory. So once you run this report, you need to stop what you're doing with the system, do your counts, record them, and update them. Okay? Because the system has no way of knowing whether you counted the item in the warehouse or not. When you do a physical inventory, if I were to do a freeze of inventory like your other system used to do, it doesn't know whether the item you invoiced today was already counted physically or not. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Okay, so to do a physical inventory, the first thing you do is a physical inventory worksheet. Now you can do it by a group of items, a specific warehouse, a specific group of product lines, or the starting bin number, ending bin number, or the inventory cycle, which we talked about. The one thing you want to make sure that you do is to use the in-stock quantity, so it actually makes the adjustment. Okay? So when I do this to the screen, what this is going to do is the first thing it's going to do is warn you that if you run this and you follow through with an update, it is going to zero your inventory and update it with new values. Okay?
Okay.
So when I say okay to this, it's going to actually produce a report on the screen I can actually take out to the warehouse and write the quantities on. Okay, it's just about finished. And here we go. So here it tells me the bin location, where the item is found. It tells me the item number. This is where the physical count would go, is in this column. And then this is the quantity. I mean the description. It's pretty good, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So you would just handwrite your items in here. You just go page by page. There's 39 pages here. And the other thing that you might want to do is when you're doing a physical inventory is notate the actual bin number that the items are in.
Okay. Can this be
No.
exported into Excel?
It sort of can. If you click out here and do an Excel on this one,
Okay.
PH, but I'm going to show you what has to be done in order to make that work. If I hit generate, okay, it's generated it. And if I go back out here to here, it hasn't finished generating it yet. It's still generating, I think. I don't know where it actually saved it actually. Okay, well, it didn't, let me do this again. Oh, it's still generating it. It's still generating it.
Okay.
So when it's done, I'll show you how to manipulate it. The problem is that when it comes over, it's also going to bring these headers, and you have to kind of take those headers away in order to manage it. Okay, so when you're done with this, I gotta wait now until it's finished generating. It's still generating. So once the report is in Excel, like I showed you, you see that it has all kinds of funky things here. You have to just manipulate it. And the way to manipulate it is to left click in this little box right here. The first thing you do is go up to Format, Data, excuse me, Format Cells. And I'm right clicking to get my menu. Go to Alignment, take off Wrap Text, and take off Merge Cells. And hit OK. This will take away all the merging and allow you to then manipulate the cells. So what we want to do is just grab these columns, these rows, delete, and then the best way to do this is to re-index this by item number. If you right-click, Data, Sort, and this is in column N, Now you see you have all of the, no, it wasn't column N. Let me see. It's actually, yeah, it's column N. This is our titles. Oh, you know what? That's what I did. I take it out. Sorry about that. All but one. Delete. Let's do it again. Data. Sort on column N. Let's have still more merge. Take out the columns you don't need. Delete. Because that way we definitely eliminate all of the merge things. Delete. Delete. I'm going to pull all this. Delete. And this is where you're going to put your physical count. Delete. And I'm going to take this out. Delete. And again, data sort on column B this time. And there's all your items. And now you have your physical inventory worksheet in Excel.
Okay.
So with a little bit of manipulation, you'll be able to, maneuver through it.
Okay.
All right? Any questions on maneuvering a file within Excel?
No.
Okay, so we're going to go back over here and count and close out this. This is our physical count sheet in the system. And then we're just going to exit. We're going to hit cancel to get out of it. Now, when you've gone out and you've done your physical count, then you're going to go back over here to physical inventory worksheet, and I'm sorry, not physical inventory worksheet, physical inventory entry. Hit refresh, and that brings up your entire inventory again. So all you have to do is put your counts in. And again, you can pick a column, 10, 100, 75, etc., etc. Just fill in the quantities that you have, and when you're done, and you can come back and forth to it, and when you're all done entering all of your quantities, go back to physical inventory and do a journal update. And what this will do is this will create a report. We'll run it to the screen, and it's going to show me the item number, the original quantity, be done in a second here, and the variance. And when it goes to the general ledger, it's going to put the variance, of course, out to the adjustment account. So you can see here, this was my physical count right here. This was my difference because I started with 0. And this is my physical count. Now remember, I didn't count any of these down here, so it's subtracting all these quantities. Any questions?
No.
And when I cancel, it gives me one more opportunity to post it to the general ledger, which we're not going to do. And you're done.
Okay.
Okay? So continuing along, now comes the fun part. This is the auto purchase utility. Auto purchase utility, if you have your safety level set, you have your minimum set, and you have your multiples, by coming out here, I can come out and say, okay, tell me what I need to buy. And I can do that based on a range of item numbers, a specific warehouse, a specific product line, or a specific vendor, provided that I've identified who my vendors are and whether or not they're my primary vendor. Okay? Any questions on that?
No.
I'm going to pause it while it brings the report up so I can show you what that. Okay, so this is what the recommended reorder report looks like. And what it does is it tells you what your reorder points are, how many you have on quantity, and how many it's recommending that you buy. This little blank line is for you to handwrite what you want to actually buy. However, when I exit this, I'm going to say create a reorder recommendation, and I'm going to tell it I want it based on my primary vendor, and what cost do I want to use? Cost and last cost if they're filled in, or do I want to use vendor and standard cost? We really want to use the vendor cost and last cost, so that because our standard cost includes our freight. So when I say update this, it's going to create a report. I'm going to cancel, come back over to auto purchase, and I can actually edit it. Now, if it had created anything, in this case it had all zeros, they would be listed right here, all the items, and I could change vendors at this point, and I can change the quantity to purchase. And up here, it gives me a lot of flexibility to see what I have on hand right now on each line item, how many I have on open sales orders, how many I have on open purchase orders, and how many are totally available. Okay? And from there, when I exit that, I can then go to create my purchase orders, and it'll just automatically shoot my purchase orders out.
Standard format with the additional comments or anything
With
like
whatever the format is.
Okay.
Okay? Any questions on that?
Nope.
The last thing that I need to teach you is in the reports for the inventory module is that at the end of every month, it is critical that you run a inventory valuation report, and that would freeze it. So if I hit screen, it shows me my inventory valuation. This is one report that I recommend you run. There's one more that I'm going to recommend that you run. There's all of our landed costs, our totals. If I go over here, you see the total value of inventory.
Yeah.
Okay? The only other report that I recommend that you definitely run is a report called Warehouse History Report. This is best run when you're linked to the file server. When you run this, this is actually going to go out to Excel. So we want to choose the first item number, the last item number. It's going to let me fill in all of this information, and then it's going to, I also can pull sales data. What did I sell? And you have 3 date ranges. So I usually do this year, January to December, last year, and the year before. I always check print items with no activity, print current inventory level, and export to Excel. When I export this, I give a name, inventory 2008-06. So when I run this, I always do it to the screen because it's already automatically going to go to Excel based on this file.
Okay.
What comes up on the screen is just going to look like total garbage. Ignore it. It's just a mishmash of data on the screen. Now remember, this needs to be done from the file server because this is the only report in the system that runs this slow. And right now we're running off of my laptop, so it's not so slow. So this is the oh, it doesn't. I did fix it. What do you know? This is the report and how it looks. This tells me my current in stock, how many are on the water or on the way to me, actually on open purchase orders. This shows me what's available, what my cost and price are, what my quarterly sale quantity of sales of units this month. Ignore these titles because they're just hard coded. It's whatever date I put in those date ranges. And when I exit this, this then lets me put it out to Excel. And what you want, my naming nomenclature is INV for inventory, and then 2008-06. If you do that, that will freeze inventory, that will freeze this report, and you'll be able to manipulate it down the road. Okay? And you just say, you can tell it where you want to save it if you want, and just hit save, and you're done.
Okay.
Okay? Any questions?
No?
Okay? I think that pretty much concludes the inventory module.